going on, everybody? How-to playlist here, and I just want to say thank you so much for 105 subscribers. Today, we're going over a total recap of every episode currently in Fan Death Battles. All episodes from Season 1, 2, and currently 3. And we're going through each battle and tell you why I put them up against. It's probably going to be a long video, but still. So, let's start with the first ever battle. Noob Saibot from Mortal Kombat versus Dr. Feshlier from Disney's Princess and the Frog. So, here's the reason why. I'm really into Mortal Kombat, and I know a few characters from Mortal Kombat. I know a lot of characters, actually, but one character I do know is Noob Saibot. Noob Saibot was currently Sub-Zero by Bi-Han Sub-Zero, which was killed by Scorpion. Then with Quan Chi's magic, he became Noob Saibot. And Dr. Feshlier, in Disney's Princess and the Frog, he was a fortune/voodoo doctor, which liked to swindle people in deals. He can also control his shadow and his other shadow friends from the other side. Oh, I forgot to mention, Noob Saibot can also control his shadow double and put many shadow portals and teleport and all that other stuff. And during that battle, Noob Saibot won, but don't worry, there was another battle currently, so we'll do that later. So on to the second episode, we have Shrek and Donkey versus Mike and Sully. DreamWorks versus Pixar. Mike and Sully and Shrek have been was one of the debated battles ever. Shrek and Sully, and everyone thinks that Shrek would win. And Shrek has won against many people who did this debate, like Animation Rewind and Cartoon Fight Club and others. But they haven't done it with their sidekicks, like Mike and Donkey. And during that battle, we had Shrek and Donkey win, because Shrek and Donkey are powerful together with their magic potions and everything else. Let's go on to my most random battle. Scar the Lion from Lion King versus Howard the Duck from Marvel. So here's the reason why. I had a poll on my Facebook to see who would face Scar from the Lion King. And I had many suggestions. And Howard the Duck, I put Howard the Duck in there as a joke, but everyone voted for Howard the Duck. And Scar won because Scar can turn into a head in a volcano. And though Howard did have a symbiote with him, he was still no match for Scar and his hyena army. So let's go on to my most big battle, which is my fourth battle, which was Lion Guard versus the main six, Lion King versus My Little Pony. And it was like a war battle. We had 6 competitors against 6 competitors. From the Lion Guard, we have Ono, Kion, Beshji, Unga, what's the cheetah's name again? Just the cheetah, and the cheetah, I forgot her name. Oh, and Pinkie Pie, Twilight Sparkle, Rainbow Dash, Applejack, and Fluttershy and Rarity. And the Lion Guard ended up winning. And there is actually a part 2 with that, with Kion, but we'll get to that in a little bit. And currently my first ever 7-minute battle, which was Diver versus Cyclops. For years, I wanted to see these two meet. So I finally put them in a battle so they can meet. Diver is P. Sherman. He's a dentist and and basically kind of like a marine biologist. He loved to go diving and he loved sea life. And he was also studying dentistry. Cyclops is a fish killer. He loved to hunt fish under the sea so he can use as knickknacks for his shop in Shell City. Tell me what to do. And Diver ended up winning because he has the advantage of swimming up. Cyclops can't swim up because he is a deep force diving suit. So he ended up defeating Cyclops. We have my first creepy pasta battle. We have Slenderman versus Sonic EXE. These two are one of the most powerful creepypastas ever. I put Sonic.exe as the winner because Sonic.exe is God. He is basically a god. Though Slenderman is very powerful. He is very powerful. He did have Sonic EXE on the hunt. Next is my other most random battle. Link versus Jimmy Neutron. Jimmy Neutron and Link are very similar, but not really. Jimmy Neutron is very smart. Link is also intelligent sometimes. Sometimes he can just rush into things without thinking. They're both pretty athletic, and both pretty strong as well. They both have a lot of gadgets that can counter each other, like Pegasus boots against Jimmy Neutron's speed boots. I put Link as the winner in this one. Because Link is brave, he's courageous, and he can quickly do things to outsmart Jimmy Neutron with his gadgets. Now is like one of my popular battles are Freddy Krueger versus Nightmare Freddy. And I put Nightmare Freddy as the winner because Freddy Krueger doesn't know all the past of trauma that Freddy and the other kids that were stuffed in the suits have. He only knows about molesting and killing the kids, and he was just burned alive. So, a bunch of souls can kill Freddy Krueger. Next is another Five Nights at Freddy's battle. We have Mrs. Nesbit versus Withered Bonnie. And you want to know, why this battle? Because, why not? They're both pretty similar to each other. They're both crazy. They both only have one arm. And they're both not really intelligent. So I put them up against each other. And Withered Bonnie ended up winning because he's an animatronic. And Buzz is only not a few centimeters, but a good, few inches tall. And next is part 2 to Lion Guard versus Main 6. Which is Young Simba versus Kion. And this was actually my first ever tie. We have Simba, which is basically his young form from Lion King 1, versus Kion from Lion Guard. And Kion ended up killing Simba, but then he started to fade away. Then he died as well. Such ending in a tie. And now we have the most gassiest battle ever. We have Shrek returning after episode 2 against Wario in his debut. In this battle, I chose Wario as the winner because Wario has more feats than Shrek ever had. Because Wario can turn into Wario Man. He can also use his bike. And he can also use different feats from each Mario and his versions of games. Though Shrek is very powerful by himself with his potions and his strength, Wario can still get it done. And next is my Season 1 finale. Dory versus Patrick Star. Dory versus Patrick Star, I think, is because they're both dumb. Sometimes, and they easily forget. So I decided to put these two together, and Patrick ended up winning because he is pretty much strong. He's strong, and he's quicker than Dory. So, now we go down to Season 2, which is The Grinch versus Jack Skellington, Dr. Seuss versus Disney. So now we have The Grinch and Jack, both people who stole Christmas before, but ended up to love and cherish Christmas. The Grinch is stinky and snarly, but he is still no match for Jack Skellington. Jack Skellington ended up winning with the Soul Reacher and just killing him right away. Though Jack Skellington is not very physical when it comes to fighting, he can still get the job done. Next is a very good battle called Fred Flintstone versus George Jetson. These two have met before, and that's why I put these battle. That's why I didn't make this battle like from the Jetsons meet the Flintstones. So I just did this like, why not put these guys together? And Fred Flintstone ended up winning because of his caveman strength and overall way to outsmart the futuristic man. Now we have Wild Mutt from Ben 10 versus Incineroar from Pokemon. This was a very good battle. I got really good responses from it, from my fan group. And people really liked it. And Wild Mutt ended up winning because his ultimate form can really get it done against Incineroar. Incineroar is still very powerful on himself. He took out many Pokemon before, but he still is no match for Ben Tennyson and Wild Mutt. And now is my less known battle, which is Bart Simpson versus Stewie Griffin. I put this after the Family Guy and Simpsons crossover. So Stewie was very upset that he couldn't be Bart's friend, so he got a bloodlust and wanted to go kill Stewie. Bart did put up a good fight against Stewie, but still he wasn't enough. And now is one of my weirdest battles: Sam I Am and Guy Am I versus SpongeBob and Squidward. I put the Green Eggs and Ham crew against this one because they are still very powerful. Even though they don't really fight that much, they can still put up their hands and fight. Sam I Am is a ninja as well, and Guy is a pretty physical man as well. And SpongeBob did put up a good fight, but SpongeBob is still not enough to defeat Sam I Am. So now we have Donkey Kong versus Wreck-It Ralph. And I put Wreck-It Ralph as this because Wreck-It Ralph can use his insecurities to his advantage to make a giant Ralph to destroy Donkey Kong. And now we have a really good battle called Super Mario versus Mickey Mouse, Nintendo versus Disney. And this also ended in a tie. The reason why I put these up against because everyone wants to see Mario against Sonic or SpongeBob against Mickey Mouse. But why not, like, the main character of Nintendo and the main character of Disney? So I put these guys up together, and they ended up killing each other and destroying the building that they were in. So now, so I just put those as a tie. But now we have Homer Simpson versus Stan Smith. You always see, like, Homer Simpson against Peter Griffin or some other run. But now, why not Stan Smith? Stan Smith did put up a good fight against Homer Simpson, but Homer Simpson had the good strength to put Stan Smith out of his misery. And now we have the sequel to Noob Saibot versus Dr. Facilier. We have Noob Saibot versus Dr. Facilier 2. When Dr. Facilier was sent to the Netherrealm after Noob Saibot killed him, he made a deal with Quan Chi. If he can go avenge his death, he can be free and live once more. Then when he met up with Noob Saibot, they ended up having an epic brawl, and Dr. Facilier ended up winning it all with his voodoo dolls. And now we have my most ridiculous battle. We have Crash versus Animal. Crash and Bernstein versus the Muppets. The reason why I put these guys up together is because they're both really epic, and they both are really, 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 really annoying sometimes as well. I put Crash as the winner because Crash is, he has ninja weapons. And he's basically indestructible. He can break the fourth wall, he can teleport, and he can do lots of other cool things. So now we have one of my also famous battles. We have Steve Smith versus Morty Smith. American Dad versus Rick and Morty. So Morty ended up winning because Morty has seen everything, basically. So after smashing Steve's balls to a mash, Morty actually got a gun and shot Steve in the face. And now we have another battle. Stan Smith versus Jimmy Falcone. So I know I put Stan Smith in another video twice, but why not? And if you guys don't know who Jimmy Falcone is, he's part of a show called Forget About It. He's a former mob boss that threw the big guy out of the window, and everyone wanted to kill him. He's very powerful. He carries heat wherever he goes. He carries a gun wherever he goes, and he's also willing to fight. He's a good fighter, but he ended up to the wrong end of the gun, and Stan Smith ended up getting the victory. Next is my first ever vehicle battle. We had Bulldozer versus Fire Truck, and Fire Truck ended up winning. I know you're like it's a bulldozer, but the Fire Truck was playing it smart and sprayed the engine and putting it over and blowing up the bulldozer. Next is Finn the Human versus Steven Universe. Adventure Time versus Steven Universe. Of course, Steven Universe is very powerful, so is Finn the Human, but Steven has gone on so many adventures across space and time. He learned about his mother's troubling past and faced every way, even though when things were tough. And Finn has also gone on many adventures before, going in Minecraft, going in 3D, meeting his parents, and saving the whole world. But Steven Universe has way more power than Finn will ever have. Steven Universe ended up winning. And now we have the Family Guy Battle Royal. Peter versus Quagmire versus Joe versus Cleveland. Cleveland ended up winning because he had a lot of weapons near him in the Drunken Clam. So he ended up winning and he ended up all killing each other. And now we have Little Mac versus Peter Griffin. During when Peter was drinking some beer in a boxing arena, he saw that Little Mac was beating up a boxer and won. So Peter Griffin ended up challenging Little Mac, and Little Mac ended up turning again into Giga Mac, and Peter Griffin ended up wearing his robot armor. But Peter Griffin's robot armor was not enough to defeat Giga Mac. Little Mac ended up winning. Next we have Chris Griffin versus Comic Book Guy. Both two fat nerds willing to defeat each other. Chris Griffin ended up snorting glue and getting high and strangling Comic Book Guy to death. Next we have a sorcerer battle with Jafar versus Shang Tsung. Aladdin versus Mortal Kombat. Shang Tsung and Jafar are very powerful. Jafar has almost cracked Agrabah in half, and Shang Tsung almost took over everything before as well. Shang Tsung is also a very good shapeshifter, so is also Jafar, but Jafar was still not powerful enough to defeat Shang Tsung, because Jafar's soul is now Shang Tsung's. Your soul is mine. Okay, next is our Season 2 finale. Crash versus The Mask. Disney versus Dark Horse Comics. So the reason why I put these up against each other, because they have really good similarities. Crash and The Mask both can break the fourth wall. They can both move really fast, and they can both do lots of crazy shenanigans. And they both can be defeated some way and somewhere. Crash is flammable, but he can stay away from fire as well. He's also very quick, and he can punch anyone in the gut anywhere. He also put on the mask during the battle, but they ended up not winning, and they ended up in a tie. Next is the Season 3 premiere. We have Noob Saibot versus Jack Skellington. Mortal Kombat versus Disney. So we have Noob Saibot, which is the season 1 premiere winner when he defeated Dr. Facilier, and we have Jack Skellington, who defeated the Grinch in the season 2 finale, season 2 premiere. Now, so I put these two up against, and Noob Saibot ended up winning, making him a 2-time winner on Fan Death Battles. Jack Skellington was very quick and very powerful against Noob Saibot, but Noob Saibot ended up still winning and crushing Jack Skellington's skull. Next, we have Wilma and Donkey Kong. Two characters who did their debut back in season 2. I decided to put these guys up against each other, and Wilma ended up winning, becoming a 2-time winner on Fan Death Battles, making Donkey Kong a 2-time loser on Fan Death Battles. Donkey Kong was still no match for Ultimate Wilma, so, yeah. Let's move on to Thanos versus Discord. Both very powerful, both with the killer snapping finger. While Discord and Fluttershy were having a tea party, a mysterious portal opened up and Thanos appeared. Turns out Thanos was pulled from his world into the My Little Pony universe, and Discord ended up fighting him. Since the Infinity Gauntlet can't work outside the Marvel Universe, Discord ended up defeating Thanos by turning him into stone and smashing the statue. Next is Ultra Instinct Shaggy versus Saitama. Scooby-Doo / Dragon Ball Z versus One Punch Man. So both were very powerful, both can survive space, but Ultra Instinct Shaggy ended up being the winner. Sheriff Rango and Sheriff Woody. A very good battle that had a lot of people liking it as well. Sheriff Rango was sitting with his pals drinking a drink of water. Then they saw outsider. So Rango wanted to go up and introduce himself. Woody was lost and he couldn't find Bonnie or his fellow toys. Then when Rango tried to introduce himself, Woody was scared and accidentally picked a fight with him. Rango ended up winning because Rango actually has a better weapon range than Woody ever has. With his gun, he loaded a bullet and shot Woody's head off. After a very good battle with a bunch of Pixar balls and a bunch of fists. Next is my first ever remastered, which is Diver versus Cyclops remastered. Diver put up a really good fight with Cyclops after Diver's boat ran out of gas, and he stopped at Shell City to buy some. He turned out to find SpongeBob and Patrick on a heat lamp waiting to die. He also found gas. He picked them up and raced out before he saw Cyclops chasing after him. Cyclops ended up jumping on the boat with Diver, and they ended up having an epic brawl, and they were stuck in the middle of the ocean, and they ended up fighting, and during the end of the battle, Diver broke both his arms and put Cyclops in the water to sink down and drown. Next is Nemo versus Klaus Heisler. Finding Nemo versus the American Dad. During this battle, Nemo, Dory, and Marlin were going to visit a pond near the ocean. And the Smith family were on a road trip to catch some fish. And they also brought Klaus with them. And they were tired of Klaus, so they got rid of him and threw him into the pond. Then, when Marlin and Dory were away to go get something to eat, Nemo ended up meeting Klaus, and Klaus was so angry, he actually picked a fight with Nemo, and he killed Nemo. Next is Robin Harris versus Peter Griffin, Bebe's Kids versus Family Guy. And you might not know what Bebe's Kids is. It is a comedy animated movie based off a skit by the late Robin Harris, which was a comedian who died before this movie even came out. Robin Harris was a man trying to get a girlfriend, but that girlfriend ended up having a kid and ended up babysitting her friend's 3 kids, Khalil, Pee-wee, and Rashad. And Peter Griffin, he was not very good with kids either, so I put these guys up against each other. They're at Funland, all the kids were fighting. Robin Harris ended up picking a fight with Peter, but then Peter grabbed his robot armor and cut off Robin Harris's head, ending the battle whatsoever. Next we have Bowser versus the Hormone Monster. When Nick and Andrew were going to play some games, Murray was also here. He saw Super Mario Brothers and decided to hop in and play it. He actually teleported himself inside the game to get a better look. He ended up picking a fight with Bowser, and Bowser was also disgusted about how Mori was fighting. Then Mori ended up ripping every limb off of Bowser and winning the battle. Next is Thanos versus Genie. When Aladdin first found the lamp in the Cave of Wonders and rubbed the lamp, Genie appeared. Then a mysterious portal opened up and the lamp was pulled into it. And Genie, since he was magically bound by the lamp, followed after and met Thanos. Thanos was said to save me trouble. He wished to balance the whole universe, but to balance the universe, Genie was going to have to kill, and he couldn't. So he told Thanos all the rules, and Thanos said, "Hear no Jerusalem, and you are free. Go and beyond." And Genie ended up tricking him into freeing him. Then Genie was bounded by no rules and ended up destroying Thanos, teleporting all the way, and Finding Nemo Diver actually made a cameo when they were underwater. Then Genie ended up using the Infinity Gauntlet to snap Thanos out of existence, and he did check he was in the Marvel Universe. Next is a fish battle again. We have Bernie and Ernie from Shark Tale versus Anglerfish from Finding Nemo. This battle was actually pretty one-sided, but still very, very good either way. Bernie and Ernie were swimming and talking while eating wieners on a stick. When they dropped their wieners into the abyss, they went after them. Then they ended up finding Anglerfish. Then Anglerfish did get shocked by Bernie and Ernie, but those stings weren't enough to defeat the Anglerfish. The Anglerfish ended up biting the heads and chewing the brains of each of them, leaving the winner as the Anglerfish. Next we have Super Luigi versus Patrick Star. Patrick making I think his second appearance, and Luigi making his debut. So when Luigi was fishing in a pond and SpongeBob and Patrick visiting a new picnic spot, Patrick ended up disobeying Mr. Krabs' rules and hopping on the thing. When Luigi pulled him up, they ended up getting a fight, and Patrick ended up winning. And because when Luigi tried to pull off all his head and tear off his head, Patrick kept on regrowing into multiple Patricks until they all kicked the living crap out of Luigi. Next we have Markiplier versus Deadpool YouTube versus Marvel. Deadpool, when everyone was commenting for Markiplier to play Deadpool the game, he said it sucked. Then Deadpool decided to give Markiplier a piece of his mind, and then they didn't have an epic brawl, but Markiplier just was running away. Then Deadpool stopped him, then cut off his head, leaving Deadpool as the winner. Next we have Sonic the Hedgehog versus Spider-Man. When Sonic was racing his friends in Green Hill Zone, he ended up getting sucked into a portal into the Marvel Universe in New York City. Then he met Spider-Man. Spider-Man thought Sonic was an enemy. Then they ended up fighting. When Sonic got caught in a web, and Spider-Man was going to drop kick him into death, at the last minute before Spider-Man collided with his dropkick, Sonic went supersonic and used Chaos Control to snap Spider-Man's neck. Next, we have a monster battle, which is Godzilla versus Red Death Dragon. Toho versus DreamWorks. And during the last battle of How to Train Your Dragon, a very Asian-looking Viking looked towards the water and found Godzilla approaching. Godzilla and Red Death ended up ended up battling, and Godzilla ended up winning because Godzilla is a nuclear lizard against just a dragon. And we have the Joker versus Miles Upshur, DC Comics versus Red Barrels. When Miles Upshur was looking for a way out in Matt Mouse's asylum, he heard a very malicious laugh coming from a prison. When he peeked around the corner, he saw Joker with a bunch of dead bodies of Outlast characters. And Joker was actually looking for a reporter. He didn't really know the name. When Miles was trying to escape, he made too much noise and alerted Joker. Then Joker ended up chasing after him and also trying to outsmart Miles. But Miles ended up was too quick. But then Joker did catch him and strap him to an electric chair and using his camera. When Joker wasn't looking, Miles ended up breaking free and pushing a plank on Joker's head, knocking him out. Then Miles ended up strapping Joker into the electric chair and killing Joker. Next is Captain Cutler versus Cyclops. Cyclops' third appearance and Captain Cutler's debut. When Cyclops returned from not seeing anything, he picked up a rock and threw it into the ocean. Didn't know that Captain Cutler was there. They ended up having a brawl, and Captain Cutler ended up winning. Next is a very also random battle. We have Elmo versus Kermit the Frog. When Elmo was upset when he was about to do his solo was actually replaced with Kermit the Frog's solo, and he was so upset. He forgot the true meaning of patience and waiting for his turn. He ended up fighting Kermit the Frog, and Kermit the Frog ended up winning by accidentally breaking his arms and snapping his neck. Next is my second remastered, which is Slender Man vs. Sonic.exe Remastered. So I remixed this one up a little bit by having Tails running away from Sonic.exe and accidentally running into a deep dark forest where Slender Man is looking. They ended up having an epic brawl, and Sonic.exe ended up winning for the second time. Next we have Venom versus the Tar Monster. When Eddie Brock and Venom were having a vacation in Coolsville, they actually heard a monster noise. They saw the Tar Monster holding up Mystery Inc. and about to kill him. Then when Eddie Brock went over and said put him down, Venom appeared, and then Venom and Tar Monster ended up having a battle. Scooby-Doo not accidentally, he threw a fire extinguisher to Venom and tried to freeze it. Then Tar Monster was too fast, ended up starting a fire and burning Eddie Brock and Venom alive. Next we have Sully versus Mr. Incredible. When Sully was about to go do some rounds, he was actually visiting the Incredibles world. He saw Jack sleeping. Then when Jack was scared and ended up turning into his devil form. When Mr. Incredible heard a noise, he went up, saw Sully with Jack, and punched Sully out of the window. Then they decided to have an epic brawl. Then when Sully tried to escape to go back to Monstropolis, Mr. Incredible grabbed him, punched him to the ground, and headbutted his head off, making Mr. Incredible into the winner. And Sully vs. Mr. Incredible Dream Battles version. Dream Battles, which is my editor, Mike G, he edited this whole thing for me to make a better version of it, and ended up making it into a big success with a bunch of sound effects and all that. Thank you, Mike G. And now my last one currently, before Wayland Park versus the Joker, which is a prequel to Miles Upshur versus the Joker. We have Ravager Xenomorph versus Wolverine. Now, since I did this one, he's actually going to do his own version of Ravager and Wolverine when he gets his recording all done. When S.H.I.E.L.D. was keeping a bunch of alien specimens around him, they ended up storing another big one called the Ravager. When the guard was teasing him, and the power went out, Nick Fury heard a noise, and the Ravager was breaking free of his prison. Then when Nick Fury locked himself in a safe room with a bunch of survivors, he called the only hero he can call, Wolverine. During Wolverine, he was passed out drunk on the floor in the motel. When he got the message, he suited up and flew on a helicopter to the containment facility. When Wolverine saw and see the destruction around this facility, blood and dead bodies everywhere, he heard a doctor being held and strangled, not strangled, but being murdered by the Ravager. He raced up and saw the Ravager. Then they ended up fighting, getting into a grenade and exploding it, going outside and almost freezing their butts off, seeing Kermit the Frog run away. When the survivors got onto a helicopter, a guard ended up giving Nick Fury the idea to order the nuke to get rid of the Ravager. They thought if Wolverine can't stop this guy, they were going to have to bomb this place. During the battle, when Wolverine cut off the inner mouth of the Ravager, then Wolverine sticking his claws in the head of the Ravager, and the Ravager sticking the big claw in the throat of Wolverine. They ended up breathing for their life. Then Nick Fury ended up communicating with Wolverine and ended up sending a nuke to destroy both of them and Kermit the Frog when he was still running away. That has been a total recap of all 54 episodes of Fan Death Battles. Make sure to catch my new episode coming soon, Wayland Park versus Joker, Red Barrels versus DC Comics. Make sure to go see that. Have a good day. Bye-bye!